Hey you! Yes, you! Have you ever thought about driving in the future?
Why hello there, time traveler. Welcome to the video. This? Oh, I'm just trying to protect against the cosmic rays. Oh, please sir, stop. Oh. The Tomorrowland Speedway just gets so much hate online and so many weird recommendations on what they should change it to that I feel like I just need to come out and talk about the attraction before Disney just decides that no one cares about it and they should just demolish it and put in who knows what. I've heard Sugar Rush, I've heard, I don't even remember. I've just heard multiple things where people just want to demolish the Speedway and then just put nothing that has to do with Tomorrowland. Oh, the other one was Cars. People are like, that was a missed opportunity when they destroyed the Rivers of America, which is also just a horrible thing to do, to put a Cars attraction in Frontierland. But don't even get me started on that. If you want to hear me rant about Frontierland, you can go watch a couple videos back. I did a whole video on the destruction of Frontierland, but this video is about Tomorrowland. So anyways, Cars wouldn't go there either. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm just going to talk about why the attraction is important, why it's fun, why it is a needed attraction, and what I would personally do to extend its life, its shelf life in the Tomorrowland and the Magic Kingdom realm. To me, I'll admit it's not perfect, but it's such a good attraction that I don't understand the amount of hate towards it. It's not fair. So let's get into that. Now in 1971, Walt Disney World opens to the public.
Walt Disney World is more than just a place. It is a complete vacation destination where guests may stay as long as they like. And here, even a hotel is an adventure.
It is the craziest thing that's ever happened in entertainment history ever, I would say. Even to this day, I feel like it's just an insane feat of engineering, and the size is just insane. Up here, we have a 1970s Magic Kingdom map. I know it's hard to see, but up here, just right here is the Speedway. That is one of the only attractions in Tomorrowland. So we have the Speedway, and then we have the Skyway, which would take you from Tomorrowland all the way to Fantasyland, where the Tangled bathrooms are now. So basically the only attraction in Tomorrowland when it opened in 1971 was the Speedway. Because the Skyway is just making you leave. I mean, I don't want to leave Tomorrowland. I might take it from Fantasyland into Tomorrowland, but I ain't trying to leave the future, you know? Now, in 1971, when the Speedway did open, it actually was not called the Tomorrowland Speedway. It was actually called the Grand Prix Raceway. This was themed after an international speedway that would let kids and adults alike race into the future. The Grand Prix Raceway was also sponsored by Goodyear tires, which is a perfect match. Obviously, the race cars need tires over and over and over again because they are just driving non-stop all day, every single day. And a fun little interesting fact for you is that Disneyland back in the day, Goodyear sponsored the People Mover, and they would always replace all those little tires and they would push the People Mover along the track. And then when Walt Disney World opened and they had their first Tomorrowland expansion, they went away from the tires and then they decided to use magnets on the People Mover, so the Goodyear sponsor was not needed, but we had it at the Grand Prix Raceway. So before we go into depth on the Speedway, let's take a moment and appreciate where it all started.
Walt Disney's Disneyland.
Now, when Disneyland opened in 1955, there were quite a few attractions. Too many to even list right now, but one of those in Tomorrowland was the Autopia. Walt wanted this attraction in Tomorrowland to showcase the future of automotive travel. You know Walt, bro. He's a big guy on the transportation. Of course, we gotta have your automobiles in Disneyland. Highways and interstates were just a totally new concept around the time that Disneyland was opening. And a lot of the roads were just 1 lane or 2 lane. A lot of them were not even paved. They were just dirt roads. And so seeing paved roads and interstates or highways was like literally stepping into like the future, the Jetsons, the concept art of tomorrow that you see everywhere. We're finally stepping into it, and Walt wanted to be one of the first. So naturally he asked Bob Gurr to help him in this adventure, and together they designed the Autopia for Disneyland's Tomorrowland. Now, among the people who attended the opening of the Autopia at Disneyland, of course, Bob Gurr, the legend that designed the cars and many, many other things at Disney. The freaking monorail. I mean, come on, people. Come on. That's Bobby right there. That's Bob. The legendary Frank Sinatra and his son was at the attendance of the opening of the Autopia, dude. I believe that there's actually been video where he's in his little Autopia car with his son, and he's got his hat on, you know, Frank Sinatra type fella. And he's like, Frank Sinatra here,
Frank Sinatra! Hello, Franco. Who's driving? Frankie
My
Jr.?
son, yeah.
Don't hit this man. Oh! Look who hit who.
And then one of the other legends that attended the Autopia opening was Sammy Davis Jr.
Look who hit who. Sammy Davis Jr. Hello, Sammy.
I mean, how can you have so many just legends just opening your attractions, attending the opening of Disneyland? I just love how Disney always tries to take an extra step and make things feel more authentic and important. Now, I'm not saying that Frank Sinatra and anything have anything to do with highways and travel, but it just made me think about when they had astronauts for the opening of Space Mountain or Small World at Disneyland. They had all the water from all across the globe all dumped into there, and I don't know, there's a lot of stuff like that that just makes Disney feel much more significant and not just an amusement park where I'm just building a ride just to make money. So with Autopia opening, Disneyland has officially taken its first steps into the future. Now fast forward to 1971, Walt Disney World opens, like I said, featuring the Grand Prix Raceway, also known as the Speedway nowadays, but back then, Grand Prix Raceway, sponsored by Goodyear tires. Folks of all ages could get behind the wheel of these Mark 7 race cars. designed by the legend Bob Gurr. We are still using these cars today.
Oh yeah, we're racing these people. They're winning.
So crazy thinking about driving around these automobiles in Tomorrowland, literally driving the same cars that generations have been on. Just having very, very similar memories, you know? The same feelings, the same grip on the wheel, you know? Just so many generations of humans being able to experience something special like that, I just love. Almost started raging about the shooting arcade, bro. Don't. I'm not doing it. Just go and watch the Frontier video, bro, because the Frontier destruction makes me heated. Bob Gurr designed these cars to look like the Corvette Stingray, and after reading that, I mean, I just see it. They're just all Corvettes, dude, which is one of the reasons I like Autopia, how they have multiple different types of cars, or automobiles, or whatever you want to call them, dude. It's nice to have an option other than the color. There were 146 of these cars made, and we're still using them today. The top speed is a whopping, get ready for it, folks, a whopping 7.5 miles an hour if you're lucky. So I'd say it's pretty freaking quick. Now, only 2 years later, 1973, the Grand Prix Raceway received its first and only expansion. They made the track bigger, bro. They made it longer. From my understanding, it was really more for efficiency and everything. And so what I believe happened is a lot of the straightaways were kind of made a little bit more curvy, just so you had like technically a little more track to go through. And it was just easier, I guess, for loading. So literally not even a year later, in 1974, the track was already being reduced for the opening or the construction of the legendary, the wonderful Space Mountain. Not this one, the one at Disney World, of course. I don't think that they need to shorten the track for this little guy. And then 13 years later, in 1987, they reduced the track again for Mickey's Birthday Land, which of course is now Storybook Circus. This brought the track length down to 2,112 feet, compared to right after the expansion, that was 3,118 feet. So I would say significantly shorter. And then in 1997, a few years after New Tomorrowland, they finally rechanged the name of the Grand Prix Raceway to the Tomorrowland Indy Speedway. This came after Disney partnered with the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then by 1999, they had a ton of new themed elements within the raceway, all being references to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One of my favorite elements of this overlay, being an Indiana boy, would have to be the yard bricks, dude. The yard bricks act as the starting line or also the finishing line, and it is just a huge part of racing history if you don't know. The real Indianapolis Motor Speedway actually has this strip of bricks, which is about a yard wide. That's why they call it the Brickyard or the Yard Bricks. But in 1909, the entire track in Indiana, we're not talking about Disney anymore, we're talking about the real Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The entire track was all bricks. And then starting in the 1930s, they started to pave the track on the turns. I assume it's safer for the cars that were changing with the times of the 1930s. And then in 1939, they actually added asphalt all along the back straight stretch, leaving only bricks in the main viewing area in the front strip of the track. So everything else was paved. And then in 1961, they finally paved the rest of the track, literally just paving over the bricks. The bricks are still there. The racers that are racing those tracks today are literally driving like a few inches above where the legendary racers from the early 1900s were racing. But to try and preserve their history, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway decided not to pave over 1 yard of bricks. And then that would act as the start and finish line of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So you know that they had to have that done in Tomorrowland. So it feels like when I'm there all the time, because we go literally all the time, it feels like I'm back home in a way, you know? I'll always I just gotta peek at the bricks, you know? Probably told Sydney about the bricks 20 times already, bro. Another element of it that I really loved was the scoring pylon that they put in, which is just a legendary, you know, score stat. It's a scoring pylon, dude. It's what it's called. It's a huge thing that just has all the car numbers on it, and so when they're racing, it'll switch and everything. That's still at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but it's not in Tomorrowland anymore. That was taken out around 2008 after the Indianapolis sponsor ended. But the bricks are still there, dude. They're still there today. I hope that they don't ever get rid of that unless they change the theme from racing to something else. But Indy sponsor or not, it's like that's just straight up racing history. And I love when Disney has history within their attractions. So I hope that they don't get rid of those bricks, bro. They're freaking awesome. Speaking of the bricks, I just want to point out that in Indiana, when the racers will win these races, a lot of time they will get out of their car and they'll kiss the brickyard. They'll kiss that row of bricks going across. It's just something that's happened for the longest time. And I was actually lucky enough as a kid to be let onto the track, and I've touched those bricks. I've kissed them myself. I didn't deserve it, bro. I didn't win any races, but I kissed the bricks, and it's just one of those cool historic things I got to experience. So seeing it in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland is just like, oh wow. Hey Disney, if you see this video, let a guy kiss the bricks on the Speedway, bro. That's all I want. Just a little smooch on the Speedway, please. Once the Indy sponsorship ended in 2008, they ended up changing the name from the Tomorrowland Indy Speedway to just the Tomorrowland Speedway, and that has been the name ever since. If you thought that the reductions were done, folks, you're wrong. Because in 2012, when they were constructing New Fantasyland and they were adding a new Dumbo, so now we got 2 Dumbos right next to each other, they had to reduce the Speedway to fit it. And you'll probably notice that if you're riding around the Speedway, right there towards the end on the last turn, you can look to your right and you can see the Dumbo attraction and everything. It's kind of an interesting layout there, but I do kind of like the transition because you have Tomorrowland, the future, and then you have this racing attraction between there and Fantasyland, right? But the Speedway, you know, let's give it the theme of racing into the future. So it's Tomorrowland, it's future. And then just, you know, the little go-kart type of cars, I would say is more of a, you know, a carnival vibe. I don't know, maybe carnival type of atmosphere. And so when you're riding next to Dumbo and it has the lights and that whole type of atmosphere, it's low-key a really cool transition that I don't see a lot of people mention. To me, I don't like the back-to-back Fantasyland with Tomorrowland specifically. You know, if we're watching Sunny Eclipse there at Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. Tell him I sent you if you go see him. Right behind him you see the teacups, and honestly, bro, it kind of kills my mood every time I see it. But regardless, the Speedway to the Dumbo, kind of a cool transition that I enjoy, so I thought I'd mention that. And then the most recent reduction of the freaking Speedway, dude. This was in 2019 for Tron Light Cycle Run. We have to reduce the Speedway for Tron. Understandable, bro. Most people are gonna care about Tron and not the freaking Speedway. But it's interesting because they started this reduction on January 2nd of 2019, and then it ended May 17th, 2019. So that was not long construction at all, dude. It was like 3 months. I assume they tore up a bunch of track and then paved some new stuff down, probably put some plants or whatever. 3 months, I think that's pretty good time. So I'm glad it wasn't even closed that long. I don't even remember that, honestly. That was around the time that I didn't even have a pass anymore. So that's probably why I don't actually remember the little details like that. Now, what are my opinions on the Tomorrowland Speedway? I mean, you kind of just got a little taste of it. I don't know if the carnival go-karts is actually future, right? So I totally understand their racing into the future concept, right? That's cool, I guess, but like, that's just like a phrase. That's not really the attraction. Like, the attraction that's happening is I'm racing. I'm not racing into the future. If anything, I'm racing in the future. You know, maybe we could change it that. Racing in the future, you know? But, honestly, I think that the racing theme needs to go. I think that, well, let me back up. First of all, this attraction is important. It is needed, okay? They can't get rid of this. This is such an important thing because, first of all, this is an attraction that offers no thrills, which some people would say is not good. But not everything needs to be a thrill. I mean, think about People Mover, bro. Everybody can ride People Mover. You can get your newborn baby on People Mover and just ride around Tomorrowland, be at Walt Disney World, you know? I just want to be there, be in the future, be in Tomorrowland. That's part of what the Speedway does, you know? Anyone can ride it. There's no drops. You got a little seatbelt, bro. Mom can ride with you. You got your little, your baby or your toddler, bro. You're just riding along. And then it offers a chance for younger kids to be able to actually drive the cars. I feel like once you get to the age where you can drive, that feeling goes away, where you were a kid and you just wish that you could drive things all the time, dude. I feel like a lot of people forget about that. And I know that when we get to Tomorrowland and I see kids driving around the tracks and stuff, they are thrilled. They love it, dude. They want to drive. We can't take that from them, dude. If you took that away, what would they have then? They have the flat rides like Dumbo and stuff. You can't just spin all day long. Dumbo, teacups, Astro Orbiter, the freaking magic carpet. Enough, bro. Enough. Let them drive around. Why not, you know? Just let the kids drive the automobiles. So the racing theme, right? I don't think it needs to be racing themed, because it doesn't make sense to me. I just want it to be driving in the future, you know? Because that's how I experience it. When me and Sydney are going, we'll be walking by, wait's short, you know, 10 max, maybe 15, like if I'm really trying to get in. And I'm just like, you want to cruise around the future? Sid's always ready, you know? So we wait there, you know? Honestly, probably 5 minutes. Wait's not bad in the evening time, so we'll get on there and I'll have Sydney actually drive, because I drive us to the real Disney World, dudes. So this is gonna be my cruising around time. So Sid gets behind the wheel, and I'll admit, dude, the pedal on this thing needs some help. That's another thing that needs to be changed. The pedal is so stiff. I know that those kids actually can't freaking push it down. So you do gotta have the parent with you to do that. So I'm talking about all kids can experience this. Yeah, I don't know if the weak kids on their own could do it, bro. We're gonna need we need an adult in the passenger seat for that. So, anyways, I push the pedal down for Sid. Sid drives, and I just enjoy the wonderful Tomorrowland views and all the lights and the sounds and sometimes the fireworks, dude. That's an OP firework viewing spot. If you haven't gone on the Speedway during firework time, you don't even know what you're missing, bro. You gotta do it. It's legendary. It's like getting on Big Thunder, Astro Orbiter, you know? Those are classics at the fireworks time. Add the Speedway to your list, dude, I'm telling you. Man, I am all over the place right now. So the racing theme, like, I don't want it, right? So let's see, what would I do to change that? Obviously, I want it to be more like Autopia. I would like more foliage, some trees, stuff to make me feel like I'm kind of driving in a different area of the city. But the surrounding stuff is great. I love feeling like I'm driving around Tomorrowland. So, you don't need to change Tomorrowland, just the Speedway, guys. Don't change the whole land for the Speedway. The cars, I think, need to change. Obviously, I told you that they're all inspired by the Stingray Corvettes. First of all, we shouldn't just have all the exact same cars. I understand for racing and stuff, that's kind of, I guess, what you want to do. I don't want racing theme. Let's make it Autopia. Let's change the cars, but I don't want the cars that Disneyland has. Disneyland has a lot of retro-looking cars from, I think, the 90s or something is the last time that they changed their Autopia, and they got the sponsorship that did all these old school cars. I think that we should change them to be a little more Jetsons, a little more future. Disney knows their future vibe, their Tomorrowland mid-century, just wonderful space ageness, right? That's what we need. We need some little cars that look like that. And me and Sydney have come up with this idea where they could be hovercrafts, bro. And I know what you're thinking. Hovercrafts, bro. You're just gonna be driving freaking hovercrafts now in the future? I mean, that'd be great. But here's what we would be doing for real. Think the monorail. Think how there's a beam, a skinny beam, under the monorail, and then there's wheels that hug that track. Do that on the Speedway. And then the width of the car would be wider than the track and the wheels hugging it. So, at least from outside and from above, I mean, like, if you get down under there, you'll see that it's not actually hovering, dude. It's an illusion, but to everyone else, it's gonna look like this car is hovering on the track. And I think that would be great, especially if the track is the same color as the road. I mean, you're not really gonna be focusing on that, you know? So let's make the cars look more future. Let's make them look like they're hovering, so we're just in full-on future mode. And I think also if you add like a little underglow under the car, it'll add to that hovering type of look. I think that'd be so cool. I really hope that one day they do that. Maybe with this new Disneyland Autopia update that we're getting, they are actually changing those to electric cars. I think at the end of this year or next year. I have no idea what these cars will look like. If anyone's listening and it's not too late, which I'm sure it is, I'm sure all these cars are already designed. Make them future, dude. Please, at least just make them look super future. If you don't want to make them look like they're hovering, just make them look retro future, dude. Come on. Come on. So those are like my realistic things that they could do to help the Speedway in its life just keep going on and on. But if you want to hear a little bit more crazy ideas, let's start talking about that, alright? You know how the People Mover goes over everything and all that in Tomorrowland? So let's have the Speedway, not racing, go over Tomorrowland in a couple spots. It don't have to be anything too nuts, just like some elevation changes, dude. I wanna kind of feel like I'm driving through the Tomorrowland area, because I know if you've been on this attraction, you can kind of recognize how it's Tomorrowland City over here, and then the Speedway is kind of on the side here. So maybe we could have like one little loop that kind of goes up around somewhere and into there. I don't know, dude. I love it when the People Mover and the Speedway is always past, and if we can just get anything like that going, that'd be sick. I think that those are my ideas. That's like whatever I can think of. If you guys can come up with some better ideas for the Speedway, or what you think that it should be themed as, you let me know. And that just reminded me of a lot of the suggestions I've seen online. Not from any of you guys, I'm sure. No, from just stuff I'm reading. A bunch of people think that it should be this Wreck-It Ralph. I don't even remember what it's called. I've only seen Wreck-It Ralph once, but it's the Sugar Rush. That's what it's called. They want it to be the Sugar Rush Speedway because it's a racing theme. And I'm like, are we just throwing anything at the board that sticks, people? I mean, what is the thought process here? Because it's racing, we should just re-theme it as that? Like, does no one care about theming anymore? It has to be future. What is future about candy? I'll tell you what's future about candy. I'm gonna be eating some candy in the future. That's about it, dude. I don't need this freaking Candyland in Tomorrowland. Like, what? That idea bothers me so much. I cannot stand hearing it. And the other idea that I hear, which I mentioned earlier, is, oh, they should have rethemed that to Cars. Why? Because it's already a car attraction, so they just want to slap Pixar IP on it? Why? Literally, why? Can someone tell me? Is Cars future? Is there anything in Pixar's Cars that's future? No. Like, what? I don't get it, dude. I don't understand these ideas I just be seeing in Instagram comments. I'm all about changing the attraction, right? It doesn't even have to be this Autopia idea I'm thinking of. If they just straight up bulldozed it, I would be upset, but I would understand it. But at the end of the day, it's gotta be an attraction for Tomorrowland. Cars and candy is not the future. I'm sorry, dude. Anyways, before I start getting all heated on that, I just want to thank you guys for taking your time and watching these videos. Again, if you want to see me rage out about the Frontierland destruction, you can go check out that video. But yeah, if you enjoyed this content, please leave a like. It takes a little bit more work than my other videos. I got to do some research and, you know, actually do some B-roll shots and everything like that. A lot of the time I'll just kind of be filming vlogs and stuff like that. So these videos take a little bit more time, but I know that some people enjoy them more. So if you guys liked it, please leave a like, leave a comment on what you think about the Speedway, what they should do, or if you just hate it, just tell me to bulldoze it, bro. Say Disney can just bulldoze this dumb attraction. No one cares about it. I might be upset about it, but I won't get mad. I promise I won't get mad. And just one final message for the people out there. Not everything needs to be Tron. Not everything needs to be Space Mountain. Sometimes we just need a nice people mover, dude. We just need a nice, chill, relaxing ride in one of the most gorgeous theme parks ever created. Is that so wrong to ask for? I don't think so.